gives you that kind of architecture for authenticity. It's an amazing way of brokering data and information so that you can confer open and accountable information to companies, even if production and operations are happening all over the world and hugely far away from the point of sale. So, we've gone from person-to-person trust. We looked at a moment where brands became huge, trusted third parties brokering a lot of information, and now looking towards the future where perhaps brands become more like a lens and data can flow freely between parties in companies and parties in retail, and starting to get that far more two-way style communication that we've seen all the way coming from the village. So in Providence we're working a little on this. We work on open data a lot and helping bring information from supply chains to consumers, and we also work with blockchain technology to help support key parts of brands, so such as confirming a product is indeed authentic, confirming where something was made, or if it's got a certification, is it indeed actually organic, helping to really bring sort of concrete, trustable facts to a retail environment. So a lot of this might sound quite distant future, and well, I really think the point of this talk was to try and help think a bit about the next kind of wave of the internet and where it might be going. But the reality is a lot of the building blocks for all of this stuff are already in place, and we all know how rapidly technology can move forwards. And just as we have seen the internet completely transform retail and commerce, so I believe the blockchain, a hugely robust mechanism for digital trust, might totally redefine what we believe in a brand. Thank you.
She's a president?
Yes,
Very young.
very young.
What's she doing?
Indeed, for that.
Blockchain?
I think probably a few people in the audience might want
But
to
she's
get
put-
a sense of
They put that
what
layer
it looks like.
on the blockchain.
I mean, I know we're going to bring a fish with you. It's terribly sad that you weren't able to do that today. But I know you've been experimenting a little bit with food, which seems a natural place to think about, the tracking, the authenticity, and the process behind that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the fish?
Sure, yeah. So that's one experiment we're doing with Providence, is looking very much at how we can bring blockchain technology to essentially track where our food comes from. So we work quite a lot with food and drinks brands, and authenticity and more information is becoming incredibly important to food, looking at anything from kind of organic to allergies. And so yeah, with the fish, we are tracking them when they get caught, working with a certifier, and verifying them and committing them to this open data stream, so everybody in the world can see that that fish has been caught in that place, and then watching as that fish exchange hands, so giving
Indonesia.
that fish a sort of digital version, which means by the time you can buy that fish, you can then see the full provenance of it.
A lot of brands I know are very worried, rightly, today about fakes. And about, I mean, particularly obviously in the luxury industry, that's an enormous issue. And you kind of get the sense they'd give their right arm to be able to prove that something was real and something was fake. So I wonder how you think about that from your with your technology and how people might use it in that way.
Yeah, definitely. I think authenticity is a really huge part of what we're doing, for sure. I mean, so we aren't kind of going and inspecting whether this is Chanel and that's not Chanel, but by the kind of very notion of an open, fully accountable database that is accessible by anyone, you can start to see, oh, okay, this is where all of those luxury items are, and therefore you can start to see, oh, is that a fake or not? I think, I think the blockchain is going to be incredibly powerful for that notion of is this real? Is this what I think it is? Particularly as we start to shop more on the web, where sometimes that can become a bit difficult to navigate.
I mean, for the retailers in the room who may have only just learnt what the blockchain is, I do feel a little sorry for them because it's going, 100 miles an hour. But I also know that the sort of blockchain Bitcoin community can be quite anarchic, can be, not the sort of people that you would necessarily have in your office helping you out with your authenticity of your luxury handbags. So I wonder how, are you seeing this sort of resurgence of new kind of blockchain engineers that are going to be joining the big retailers of the future, or how do you see this sort of panning out and trying to sort of get a sense?
We'll see. Well, I wanted to be quite future facing, and at the moment, yeah, for sure, like I'd say 90% of people working on blockchain stuff are just trying to kind of totally decentralize everything, which is some might say a little bit scary. I think it's changing very, very fast.
Like
I
the
mean,
beginning
look,
of the internet,
yeah,
as you said.
exactly.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the kind of Wild West early days, I guess.
Exactly, and it is very much still Wild West, but there are a number of companies, including Provenance, that are kind of gathering together and realizing this technology is too powerful to just remain in the hands of the anarchists. This needs to be taken and used to do amazing things, like the beginning of the internet.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Cheers.
What she say?
What she said. From where?
Last one. Last question.
Last question was okay. So, I mean, I mean, basically, if we look at the state of blockchain right now, the people who are in it, in the blockchain technology, they're not exactly the kind of people that you expect to work in the inside the big companies to make their supply chain transparent. They're more or less anarchists trying to decentralize everything. That's what blockchain is all about. That's why it started. That's what the foundation and how it has been applied to the Bitcoin. Decentralize everything, take out the central banks, take out the governments, if you will, create more or less financial anarchy. So that is what drives a lot of people in this industry. So how do you see that evolving? She says, well, okay, well, yeah, I do see that evolving. I do see that this blockchain technology is way too powerful to just leave it in the hands of the anarchists. It can be applied, and we see that changing already rapidly. And the new ways that the blockchain will evolve will actually be in support of creating this kind of transparency. So, as far as I can see, this blockchain, which is the foundation of her product, will have a future.
Okay.
But I really think that.
But actually, what she's doing?
Basically, so the slide I just showed is basically what they are making, what that company is making, and she's the founder of that company. So what they are making is those layers that make that that show the transparency in the supply chain. So they're using blockchain technology as an information layer, and they put layers on top of that, which will make it easy for other players in the supply chain to
actually, she's implementing blockchain.
Right, it's kind of implementation. To put the information on top of it makes it possible for you and me when we buy a product using the provenance. The provenance software, we can see and on our smartphone and use our QR code and basically see, okay, where did this product come from? Who caught this fish? How was it transported?
So she's implementing for specific manufacturing company
for supply chains.
Supply chain.
Yeah.
So some certain supply chain.
Yes.
Some industry.
Yes.
Some area.
Yes. And what she was talking about, the fish, is an example where basically Provenance was helping fishermen in Indonesia who were who doing a responsible way of fishing, to make sure that the fish would be sold as a premium brand all over the world. So they needed to make sure that it was transparent, that people could actually see that the fish that was caught in a responsible way, and it was high quality fish.
Same type of business here in Japan.
I didn't find this kind of business in Japan. I would be very delighted to get this started. I think there is a lot of like, for example, in agriculture. Kimoto-san, are you listening? For example, in agriculture, where in Japan there is we take very close care of the quality of the products that we're producing. Now, made in Japan means something, but it doesn't mean everything. Especially if in other places in the world people are capable of creating this transparency. I think in Japan we should be very, very quick to actually open up to create this transparency, and to actually show what we are doing and why people should trust our products. If we cannot do that quickly, then others will be able to do that. Then why would we trust Japan? Because we say so. We need to be able to trust it. So to help the farmers, I think we need to actually very seriously look at how we can use this blockchain technology with the additional layer on top of it to create transparency, not only in Japan but also outside of Japan.
Okay.
Speaking of Japan, let's move on. So we already saw this. I would basically like to close off what we saw, the video, the third industrial revolution, the trends that we saw, and actually now focus on Japan. So what we saw in the third industrial revolution is that basically we will see a new technological platform emerge that will change the way that we communicate, the way that we move, and the way that we fuel our economy. So that will have a big impact. We saw how that is being taken up in Germany already, and how Germany and the EU is trying to become a leader in this, to basically move into this third industrial revolution platform with renewable energy and electrical vehicles, and with the IoT, the Internet of Things, basically becoming the new platform that drives countries in the new era, with a lot of industries that will be characterized with a zero marginal cost, or almost zero, close to zero marginal costs, will become highly competitive on a global scale. That means that basically if economies do not catch up and stay stuck in the second industrial revolution, and on the second industrial revolution platform, they will have a competitive disadvantage versus economies that could actually move towards the third industrial revolution platform. So then the question is, okay, what will happen? What is happening in Japan? And what needs to happen in Japan, and what effect will this third industrial revolution have on the society in Japan? And this section is partly based on some research that I did, and partly based on some assumptions that I'm making, and I would like to throw the ball also to you, Takai-san and Uno-san, to discuss what your opinion is. Because this is very much also my personal interpretation of what may happen, and what is happening, and I think this is a very interesting part of this series. So the issues for Japan, I identified 5 issues. Okay, the first question is, okay, are we behind? Is Japan actually behind? When it comes to the third industrial revolution, when it comes to new technologies, what is the situation at the moment in Japan? Are we really behind the United States? Are we really behind Europe? Are we really behind China? That's question number 1. Then number 2, what will happen with GDP? Will this third industrial revolution, will this new technology that we're seeing, IoT, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, will this actually lead to an increase in GDP, or will it actually not have any impact or even decrease our GDP? The third issue, what will be the effect of this new technology for employment and income distribution? Fourth issue, looking at renewable energy in Japan. How far are we? How serious are we? And what are the prospects for renewable energy in Japan? And finally, what will be the impact on Japanese society? Okay, So first, are we behind? And I took two examples to see, okay, is Japan actually behind versus the rest of the world? So I took this article, and it's an incident, but I think it's a significant example. Uber self-driving test car involved in an accident resulting in a pedestrian death. This is an article, and I think you've all seen it, that Uber is testing with not in not so densely populated areas with driverless vehicles, and this was a deadly accident in Arizona, where a Uber driverless car hit a woman, and she died of the consequences of that car crash. And I believe actually last week there was another accident involving a Tesla, a lethal accident involving a Tesla. So we've seen Uber, we've seen Tesla, and we've seen lethal accidents.
What kind of accident did they have?
They hit a.
Why they hit people?
Well, according to this article,
What is it?
the Uber SUV was driving northbound, and a woman crossed in the path outside of the crosswalk. At which point she was struck by the vehicle. So she didn't cross at the crosswalk, and for that reason, she crossed the street outside the crosswalk, and for some reason the car, the Uber, did not anticipate the pedestrian to cross there, and as a result she was hit and died. So that has a serious impact. Of course, this was an incident that was about to happen, because I don't think that anybody believed that this would go 100% without any accident. But this was the accident that happened. I don't know exactly what happened in the Tesla case. I know that the security guy, or the head of the driverless vehicle division, resigned last week. But I'm not 100% sure of the nature of the accident that happened with the Tesla. So, in a comment, an expert in the industry said, I don't think there are significant differences in the state of autonomous car development between Japan and the United States. But each has a different attitude on how to realize their vision.
Yeah, exactly.
While American firms have been grabbing the headlines, Japanese firms have been making steady progress behind the scenes. The fact that they have been less anxious to promote the progress outside of Japan is more a reflection of the go-to-market strategy than that the state of the underlying technology. Japan's elderly people cause more traffic accidents. They are an important part of the demand for autonomous vehicles. Companies naturally place a great importance on demonstrating safety and reliability. In the US, however, the target market is younger and more concerned with convenience and innovation. So what is said here is that according to experts, it is actually more. It's not really the change, the difference between the progress that the United States is making in terms of developing the new autonomous driver technology. It's more or less the more conservative nature of the Japanese market and the Japanese demand and the Japanese makers that put more emphasis on testing and safety than the American market, where they are targeting more the young drivers who look for convenient solutions, or look for quick, new, exciting technology, which cause that we have the perception that the United States is way ahead of Japan. But the truth of the matter is that it's not really so. It's just a difference in attitude of companies and consumers.
I mean, America is more eager to implement.
Yes, to be ahead, to be an early adopter, to make these tests live. There's a lot of pressure on these makers to do this because shareholders have invested huge sums of money. They want to see results. They want to get a quick payout on their investment. So they don't want to spend limitless time testing without actually doing live testing. So they want to make it visible as quickly as they can. That's how they can drive more investment. How they make the technology better. So there is actually a premium a premium that companies get in order to move fast. Where in Japan we are more conservative, but it doesn't mean that the technology is necessarily worse than. They're actually.
Oh my God! I'm in the screen. Here.
Oh.
Okay. I thought out of screen.
So it's more of a different attitude towards safety than it is a difference in technology. How about renewable energy? This is just a graph that I found in a report, an annual report on who is doing what in terms of renewable energy globally. And it's a report of 2016. It's a report from early 2017. And if you look at in terms of jobs, how many jobs are have been created in renewable energy sector on a national level, then we see that China is actually leading the pack here. So this is on the left-hand side where we see here are the renewable energy sources, and then we see for the different countries how much employment has been created in these fields. So and these are the totals here. So if we look at the number of jobs, then we see that, for example, not surprisingly, China has created a lot of jobs already in renewable energy. They're very serious about it. So these are in thousands of jobs. So there are 3.5 million people already working in the renewable energy sector in China, which is almost half of the total employment worldwide. So that's really big. That's really big, and we see that.
Why China is so much advanced, considering renewable energy? Why China is advancing?
Well, because they don't have a lot of fossil fuels. Neither does Japan. I know, but China is much easier to basically say, okay, we're going to do this. Well, if they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it fast. So we see that they are very significant when it comes to employment in solar, but also wind power. They're by far the biggest in solar heating and cooling. So across the board, China is very serious about renewable energy, at least in terms of employment. United States, third place. Brazil, biofuels is very significant. But Japan is not doing so bad. We saw that Germany is really very proud of their efforts in moving towards renewable energy and moving towards the third industrial platform. They advertised their efforts very much, and actually they do score very well. For example, versus France, they do much better, especially in wind power. But actually, if we look at, for example, Japan, then we see that Japan is doing, in terms of employment, is...
is this employment?
Employment, yeah. So there are 300,000 jobs in Japan already with people who are working in the solar energy sector, which is very, very significant.
This is not showing generate energy, but
No.
employment.
Jobs. So basically, let's put an effort. It's not nothing to do with efficiency or anything else, but this is the number of jobs that are being created. But just what to show you this, that if you look at what Japan is doing, admittedly, it's mainly in solar power, but it is quite significant if we look at if we compare it with Germany. It's almost the same level. Now, Japan is bigger than Germany, but in terms of population, but it's not like Japan is not doing anything in terms of renewables. So just like the previous example, it looks like basically Japan is not sitting still, but it's not really showing their efforts to the rest of the world. So it seems like Japan is not as far behind as we are led to believe from the international media. However, it seems that seem to be a more inward focus towards new technological developments than in, for example, Germany and the US. They like to show what they're doing. They like to show they sell it, and they want to include others into development. In Japan, there seems to be a trend towards, okay, just make it, test it. It doesn't need to be sold to the rest of the world. The question is, okay, why is that? Why does Japan not try to brand and export their technology?
Export?
Yeah. Language. That's it. Language?
Yeah. No network. Like China is a good example. And this time I tried to sell package to China. The Japanese company cannot do that. They cannot communicate with Chinese people. Like short tool is even if they have 500 times quicker, but they don't know how to sell. So nobody knows. Even if patent violated, but nobody knows. Language.
Right.
Like language equal trust. So I try to sell medicine in Asia. Just only Taiwan accepted to make contract with pharmaceutical company. Why? They don't trust us because of language.
You think that's the reason? Is it?
Reason language equal trust. Okay, and.
But would you think, then do you believe that in order to gain trust you need to speak English?
Yeah.
But for example, Korea doesn't speak much better English than
No,
Japan.
they can speak English very well.
Not really. If you look at the statistics,
very well, yeah. Many the overseas education.
Chinese are not very good at English either.
No, recently very much. It's largest overseas training education in Chinese.
Well,
just actual numbers, not the total compared with how much pass. Total numbers huge, right? 30 times than Japanese. It means 30 times the opportunity to sell.
if I look at the
Korea is also 10 times. Korea is every year 100,000 people to study in the States. China is more than 300,000. Japan is only 10,000.
Well, okay, I immediately admit that is true, but on the other hand,
It means 10 times or 30 times, right?
yeah, okay. So, but those are the really proficient people. But
Well,
if I
example, obvious example, Europe. How many Japanese companies are doing business with European people? Almost none. Dutch, none.
well, a few. That's not true.
No, almost none.
There are quite a few Japanese people in the Netherlands for business reasons.
Almost nothing.
Nikon, Mitsubishi, they are.
They are very huge company, but I'm talking about small company. Just many good product, or many good services, but Japanese people don't know. This is a problem. And also, why I'm currently writing book, The Spirit of Japan, because overseas people, they don't know Japan, especially Africa. Now the government does not know Japanese who are there. They just only know the European country. British is actually the colonialism people. Still, no way they're only doing business with them.
Actually, the biggest inroads now are from China, no?
No, gradually increasing, not biggest.
No?
China is only coming to Africa, only dealing business, only get profit. But more, just like benevolence, more righteousness, title people is Japanese, but they don't know. This is our problem.
Well, and I must say, to be honest with you, Uno-san, when you talk about benevolence,
Japanese. Okay, I tell you. I know the good point, bad point. Japanese is. I'm very many years in China, so Chinese people never believe Japanese, no trust. You know why? Japanese change their mind within a couple of years. Chinese people never change their mind for 10 years, 20 years. Never change their mind. Believe each other. Okay, whenever they establish. But Japanese is whenever they establish to trust each other, but not longer than 2 years. If you go in vacant time period, they just change their mind. So Chinese people never trust Japanese. But Japanese is basically very kindness people. Okay, very kind. But the bad point is like this time. Okay, Chinese, my counterpart, they ask me, still I can't believe Japanese. He told me, okay, still he can't believe because he's just worried about that. Japanese is pushing hard doing business. They want to get the profit. This is my product. Okay, I want to get 80%, 70% instead of 50%. But Chinese never doing that, 50-50.
I think what I think the problem is that there is a completely different attitude within Japan and in between Japan and the rest of the world. Inside Japan, I can see that what you're saying about benevolence and trust and that exists in Japan. That is actually very, very important. That makes it so hard for foreign companies to do business inside Japan because we don't get that trust. That trust is exclusively for Japanese companies and Japanese people. That's where the CEOs meet each other eye to eye. But the CEOs do not meet eye to eye with their foreign counterparts. They send people who speak English. They don't go there themselves. They don't have the trust relationship. They are always doubtful about the intentions of the other side, and they try to get they really try to.
Yes.
They doubt it, and they try to get bigger share of the profit. Something that they would not do within Japan, they do outside of Japan.
Yes, that's right, exactly. But I tell you, if they're going to, they can speak English. Okay.
Right.
If they can speak English, basically,
they can.
They are open.
Yeah. But they should really go outside.
Whenever they got trust relationship, they are not chasing for the power, like colonialism. They are not chasing money. This kind of people. But Japanese, like this time, I'm going to my Chinese friend. They're very doubt Japanese people. The Japanese people were going pushing hard, just what you said, and he's very skeptical. I told him, no, I'm a middleman, so okay, you don't trust them, you don't doubt them, you can trust me and trust them, no problem at all. I told him, but usually Chinese never trust their kids.
You communicate in Chinese with these people?
Japanese, no, English.
English, okay.
And at a certain level I understand Chinese, so. But doing business in English.
Okay. And
he cannot speak Japanese, English. Right. So I can do that. I can communicate with those people. But basically, okay, if they understand Japanese or if they Japanese understand English, Japanese people, they have nothing behind their mind. Okay, they have basically their true mind, sincerity. So they try to support African people. They try to support Asian people, and this. But
yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
The problem is Asian people, African people, they have doubt. of Japanese people.
So, but also, like, honestly, the way that I see most of the business from Japan operating outside of Japan, now, my viewpoint is limited. I don't have a big experience, but what I see, that everything that goes through JICA is not based on benevolence, is not based on anything else but self-interest.
Oh, JICA is the government.
Yeah.
So usually Japanese, the personality or the personality or identity is very much honest people, very much kind people. Still not very kind. Okay?
Right. But even if they work overseas, it's so much a closed network, only limited to Japan, not about working together with foreign companies. Everything is reduced to staying in control, keeping everything within the Japanese network. So what I'm worried about is what you always are saying about globalizing Japan. We need 300,000 Japanese people who are fluent in English. But it will only create more distance between the CEOs, the decision makers, and the people who are actually doing the negotiation. And that distance will make the CEOs become more and more selfish and wagamama and more aimed at not bilateral relationship, but asymmetric.
Yeah, this is
asymmetric relationship.
What I understand is Japanese has very good nationality, good people, good character. They don't like invasion, actually, okay, except China. The Japanese did invasion to China. Because China is so strong. Finally, the Japanese people cannot conquer, okay. That's the reason they invaded. But usually they never do that, okay. Very calm and quiet people. But what is the problem, actually, what you said, because if they cannot communicate well, language, if they cannot do what they want, misunderstanding, so they just warnings, feel danger, they themselves. Then insure a country, they try to protect them. So this is a bad point. Whenever I going to involve overseas people, no problem. Japanese side, you don't believe them. Overseas side, you don't believe me. Then problem is solved. Japanese, but American people, European people, even I try to do that. But Japanese, American side, European side, they have their own mind. No, I want to do this. This causes problem. They try to invade them. But Japanese, they don't try to invade them. They try to do fair business. If they relationship, trust relationship.
If there's a trust relationship.
But they cannot.
No.
Okay, so that's the reason this time I involved. Basically, Japanese people have very fair trade mind they have. But unfortunately, they cannot speak English, so they very skeptical for overseas people. They doubt it. So they pushing much. So Chinese people, they don't like them. Or American people, they don't like them. That's basically the reason. That's the reason why I'm writing book. So this is, I think, we need to give Japanese character, Japanese identity, all over the world people. Japanese is year by year isolated because Chinese people, they don't want to doing business with Japanese people. I tell the truth. Chinese people don't want to do that because Japanese pushing much. Right? Why pushing much? Because, okay, well, I'm selling this one 100 yen to Japanese, but I want to sell to Chinese 20% more, 120. The reason why? Okay, we have some risk. They said, some risk? No risk. Only just a language barrier. So you can sell them 100 yen, but Japanese people, they don't. So this is Chinese people have doubt against Japanese because they can.
So there is a big transaction cost doing international trade between Japan.
No transaction cost. They say,
the lack of trust creates a big transaction cost.
No. Transportation itself, no problem. This
No.
Big problem.
No, I put transaction cost as a
human.
Between brackets. I'm not seriously mean transaction cost.
Human relationship.
Yes, that's the cost.
This is the problem.
So that puts a strain on the relationship. That puts additional prices. That creates strains, and that will not make into long-lasting.
300,000 people speak English. Kind of like what my.
But if they are not CEOs, if they are not going to interact directly, then every CEO will feel, I don't know, China. They will copy my technology. We cannot trust them. I better make sure immediately ask about all kinds of protection.
Okay,
of my,
this is depending on Takahashi will establish a relationship with CEO or not. And he getting position more higher, the top people trust him, no problem.
yeah, but I mean, at the moment, it's going to be difficult.
Of course, yes.
Because
Yeah,
nobody ever meets the
of
CEO,
course,
right?
But CEO understand the Filipino people thinking way or Vietnam people thinking way. Understand them, they understand, no problem. But they doubt or the counterpart people.
Exactly.
This is a problem. We don't need to doubt, but they have everywhere. Almost all people doubt it. That's the reason I can support it. But it's currently time is limited. Only that ask that this case, I can support. I can support every company, but many people they do not understand. They do not recognize what is a real issue, wrong issue.
So the answer to the second question.
European is different. European is history. Okay, European history. They just discriminate Japanese people in the history. All many years. Discrimination. America has no discrimination, but there is too much local people. Americans, they don't know overseas people. So this is different. And American people, European people different. Okay, how to treat them. So that's the reason why I talk with you every week. European people most difficulty to communicate. But Asian people very easy because Japanese 70 years ago we occupied those countries, okay, invaded. And they understand Japanese soldiers. At that time, Japanese soldiers win Dutch soldiers and win British soldiers, win American soldiers. But I tell you, their clothing, their food, their black is the same as local people. But Dutch, British, American, very much better than local people. But Japanese soldiers is some cases poorer than local people. They don't have bread. Their weapon is very poor, and their food is in some cases lower than local people. Their barrack is very,
What is a barrack?
Barrack is a soldier's house.
Barrack.
Barrack is so very, very poor. And the local people look at their level of life. Oh my God, it's lower than us. Malawi, Indonesia, and Philippines, they saw those people. It's completely the same as us. How come these people win against white people? They can't believe it.
Well, because there was a war going on the other side of the world. Huh?
Do you know that? And Japanese will come into Singapore by bicycle. Right? And the British people, British surrender, 70,000 surrender. But the British people, barracks is very, 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 good food, good barrack. But Japanese come there, they are staying there lower than local people. Their food is very poor. And clothing and soldier clothing is very poor. How come they won against American soldiers? They can't believe it. That's the reason why they have confidence to be independent. And after World War II, Japanese soldiers hired more than 200,000 employed local people, including British soldiers. And local 200,000 people never sued Japanese government because 200,000 people and Japanese soldiers are staying there, eating food. Same. Why sue them? But the American soldiers, British soldiers is very, very different. British soldiers, their living place is better than Japanese soldiers, much better. And food is much better. And British and local people food is different before World War II. Different. Okay, they are eating good one.
But, probably. Yeah.
But Japanese soldiers, they always eat the same one. And same time they dead, same people they dead. Philippines the same. Philippines they just death match, and after Japanese occupied death match and American soldiers dead, many people dead. Local people, none of those dead because this is usual. They are suntan is waiting several days, no problem at all. And American soldiers never happened like that. So after World War II, American soldiers, caught a lot of Japanese soldiers, just killed them all because just had a big turmoil for American soldiers. But Filipinos, this is as usual. They're eating the same thing, same food, and better than Japanese soldiers. So Indonesia is the same. So that's the reason why none of Asian people, claim Japanese World War II, what they're doing, except China. So still there are many people who believe that. Okay. But unfortunately,
In Korea.
no. Unfortunately, recent Japanese people, they don't have dignity. Like before World War II. World War II, they have, what's the difference, okay? There's that clothing and poor food and poor baths. But what's the difference between those local people and Japanese? They have dignity. Dignity means, this is Confucius. Their mind is very educated. They have educational rituals, emperor's rituals.
Discipline.
Discipline they have. So very strong discipline is coming out their attitude. Very strong discipline they have. Okay, so that's the reason they respect Japanese. Still respect Japanese, but they recently they can't find out any respectful Japanese. The guys told me we are, because no education kind of before World War II kind of emperor's education. So ritual. Okay, so we try to coming back again. Otherwise, Japanese, still all Asian countries respect us. But unfortunately, they cannot find any good Japanese. China is, we had a big bad thing in China. All China killed many people. 6 million farmers killed, Japanese killed. But they never, complain us. Do you know why? No complaint. Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
He concealed everything.
Yeah.
He concealed everything. Many people killed, but forget it. Just consider it.
Yeah, well, probably Mao Zedong. I mean, this is maybe wild theory, but I would say that Mao Zedong and the Japanese worked together against Chiang Kai-shek. No. Yeah. So that's why.
No.
No.
Mao Zedong thought, okay, Japan is very important country in future. So they try to conceal the fact Japanese soldiers did in China. Okay, they focus on Nanjing massacre. Nanjing massacre is the right story. So they focus on only Nanjing. But Japanese soldiers killed everywhere. But concealed. Okay.
But they didn't work together against Chiang Kai-shek.
No. Chiang Kai-shek is a different person. He's not a good person, okay? He just occupied Taiwan and killed many people.
Right.
But Mao Zedong is a very, very educated person for the Confucius.
Right.
So he's heavy experience, even if Japanese bad thing, and they try to return sincerity. This is Mao Zedong way. And each premier of China, for after 70 years, just keep promise like Mao Zedong did. Still now the same. But Japanese government...
Well, nobody wants Mao Zedong back, I hope.
No. This is actually he is a god in China. Still god. Okay?
He's one of the biggest mass murderers in history.
No. Actually, he's a bad habit for women, and he's also killed many people.
Well, that's not the point. But
he's killed many people.
Many people.
But still, he did.
He's the number two on the number one or number two on the list of responsible for most deaths in history.
But still, for Japan, he's a tremendous contribution for Japanese relationship with China.
I don't understand. He's still being revered in China?
No. At World War II, and Japanese soldiers killed many people in China, right?
Right.
And serious invasion for many years. But now is China, they don't think nothing at all against Japanese, right? The reason is Mao Zedong concealed everything. This is his big contribution to Japan. But Japanese government, they never think about that. But this I recognize reading English material, tremendous material I read. But Korea is, are you thinking about many people against us? No. Very few people. Some association, like 2,000, 3,000, the comfort women, neglected. But majority Korean people, they don't think nothing at all against Japan. Japanese. Nothing against Japanese. But only 2,000 or 3,000, some kind of left-wing people against Japan. Forget it. That's the reason I wrote the book here. forget it. Sand Beach, guys, I just wrote book. And I distributed to Japanese Foreign Ministry. Now they are reading my book. And then after whenever they finalize conclusion, they are after reading book. But I'm not sure they were going to tell me, oh, you liar. Maybe, I don't know, but I sent to my book and comfortable book, 2 books, and 5 books for sent to my friend. He is former very high-ranking foreign ministry, high-ranking person. He distributes American consulate and also American embassy and foreign minister headquarters and several people. 5 people, they are reading my book, this book. Then whenever they finished and they're going to ask me to do something, I told them, I can help you. But this is like a Japanese emperor is very sincere person.
Right.
And this is true. My friend is, he was working at the palace, Emperor's Palace, for 30 years. And at the end of retirement, he's a top person of Emperor's Palace Guard, high-ranking person. He knows very well the emperor. I wrote a book for the World War II. Emperor is so, he just like virtue here. That's the reason why. Virtue. So he just finally unconditional surrender. Why he make, because he never used for the Japanese kind of 731. Do you know that? 731.
I heard about it.
Germ. They made 10 tons of germs distributed to American soldiers. It's about, 10 tons of germs can kill several, many million, 30, 40, 50 million people they could kill. And if the emperor ordered them to kill in Saipan, Guam, and Hawaii, disappear. But Tokyo airborne, at that time, emperor forced them to don't use it. And even atomic bomb, they ordered don't use jam. And we should surrender. This is he is very virtual people with virtue. That's the reason why that MacArthur respect him. American, do you know American occupation is very brutal in history. Any kind of they invaded, kill them all, but except Japan. Do you know that?
I don't think that the rest of the world will have the same vision about
South America. What they did, and do you know what they did for the Iraq? Do you know what they did in Afghanistan and Philippines? Same, kill them all. But American troops, they did nothing at all invading Japan. MacArthur respect the emperor. Simple. Right? The MacArthur believed and his emperor's judgment, non-conditional surrender, means he persuaded, he just respected the emperor. This is true. So it's kind of a book I sent to the foreign ministry. They don't know that. They don't know that.
I don't think that the reputation of Hirohito is that positive in the rest of the world.
Actually, he is a very respectable person. Current emperor is also a very respectable person. I didn't know that. Okay? I thought against. But this person told me, no, client. No, he is very respectable person.
The new emperor, yes.
Yes.
The current emperor, absolutely.
Yeah, but former emperor is the same.
The reputation is different.
But actually, the final. And do you know the Japanese military sent balloon bomb to the States, 8,300, and several hundred reaching to America, and several people dead. But at that time, emperor ordered them, don't use jam. Only normal bomb. Send them to the States, but no jam. But the American government did know that. Every time find out the bomb, they just put full chemical protection. They try to reach into the bomb. But actually, the Japanese government never do that. So this means is Hirohito emperor. They understand the Confucius. Confucius. Okay, bad thing is don't treat against bad thing. Sincerity is what he said.
Well,
But I tell you, China, and they killed many people.
but Uno-san, you cannot cherry pick history like that. I mean, that's maybe one of the good things Japan did under Hirohito, but they're also responsible for the Burma railway line. They're also responsible for a lot of other things.
Oh, okay. I read,
China.
just only I'm reading English material, not Japanese, okay? Japanese material is biased, so I don't read it, okay? All English, lots of them I read. Burma, and okay, what they did. And also I'm writing book, writing from the start. I'm writing European people, common sense. American people common sense, going right down one by one, persuade them, accept what is happening. All the way around, the same way approach. Not like a Japanese going to start, oh, we are not guilty type of writing. No. I'm based on the American or European Wikipedia, just based on their current recognition, and I wrote books. And Burma Railway is actually, finally I understand why I thought that Malay or Malaysian people or those area people respect us. I against to the guys, the other Japanese is teaching Japanese history. So Hoda, I criticize him. What the hell are you talking about? The Philippine people, they never, they against Japanese for Japanese invasion? And he said, no, they're very pleased to Japanese soldiers. And also he said, Burma Railways and also Singaporean, also the Indonesian. He said, no, they like Japanese soldiers. I don't believe it. You guys always called him, okay? Don't tell a lie. But I started studies after writing this book, but actually local people, they never complained Japanese soldiers. Singapore, they didn't, even if they killed 70,000 Chinese in Singapore, local Chinese. Tsuji Masanobu, the famous bad guy, they ordered to kill them randomly. Actually, randomly killed 70,000, and Lee Kuan Yew almost killed. Okay? And this is, even if so, bad thing for Singapore, but they like us. This is all spread all over Asia. China is different. China is also don't consider it. And that Chinese people, they don't think of nothing at all. And I've been to Nanjing twice. Government invited me to make a presentation. I went two times, invited by Chinese government. And I just visited there. And nothing about Japanese recognition or Japanese invasion. They don't know nothing at all. Actually, they didn't. They killed 40,000, but this is a captive. Right? Captive. They killed 40,000 captive. They never killed local people. Actually, they spread all over China. They killed many, right? But for Nanjing, they didn't do nothing at all. I know the Japanese people, like real estate company present there. Also, my friend Chinese there, but they told me they don't know nothing about that. This is true. So we're going to change European people's common sense for World War II. It's changing the common sense is almost impossible. That's the reason why I tried to write a book. This is true. What's the truth? Only the picking English source, so English material, no Japanese. So,
which is also not true, of course. But I would be very curious to learn why, for example, people in Myanmar would see Japan positively to work on a dead-end project like the Burma Railroad.
This is only for
killing people left, right, and center.
Only British people.
So many people, not only British and Dutch.
No, not local people.
The local people died more than the British and
but no, they are starvation.
Right.
But same rate.
Yeah, but
okay,
so
same rate. British
and
British is different. British what different is there are big gap for the standard level of life. Okay, they try to ask Japanese soldiers.
I think 70% of the people who worked on the railroad didn't survive.
No, not 70. No, not much.
Not much.
Do you know do you know how many captive people?
Uno-san, my grandfather is a survivor of the
No,
Burma Railroad.
no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Do you know how many
Yes,
people?
he is a survivor of the Burma Railroad.
Do you know how many people are captive in Singapore?
I think you just said 40,000.
No,
many?
70,000.
70,000?
Do you know how many people are going to Burma?
I don't know how many people were.
Yeah, I think if you are interested, you can bring my World War II my material. This is written in English. You can read it. This is fact. Okay.
So, but basically, a lot of people died working on the Burma Railroad line, not because they were killed, but because of starvation and exhaustion.
Almost people not starvation. Almost people pest, and also the local disease.
There was no food.
Yeah,
and it was clear.
local disease, because this is why British people death is very weak for the local disease compared with Japanese soldier, the local people. Japanese people is very much poor compared with British soldiers. Very poor. And basically the Japanese government cannot wage war against against United States. They cannot do that.
But they could never have done it if there was not a war going on in Europe.
No, scale is not Germany. Japanese government, they don't have money. Okay, they don't have weapon. They don't have food. Nothing at all. And they try to invade Singapore by bicycle. So this is ridiculous. But still, they won't.
Yeah, sure, but of course there were no soldiers. Everybody was in Europe fighting a different war.
Oh, okay. Japanese cases, one difference is they have. That's the reason why after World War II they independent, right? Because they.
Oh yeah, sure. That's why also why Japan was appreciated, of
They
course,
respect.
because my enemy's enemy is my friend.
No. They local people observe Japanese soldiers, and they got to have lots of confidence. How come so poor people want British? How come people want Dutch, want America? It's a big gap, right? How big gap is 1/10? Right? This is completely different. The Japanese soldiers is exactly the same as the local people level of life.
But of course, at that time, the colonial powers were all fighting a war, so there were no soldiers. There was no military power left in Asia.
No, but the Asian people observe Japanese people.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Even if they are not soldiers, but
of course, and a lot of people were trying to fight independent war, and I'm not saying that what happened in Burma is unique, because we did the same thing when the Dutch governor Koen was trying to make a infrastructure project connecting the south with the north of Java, killing I don't know how many people. It's ridiculous how many people were killed. The same ridiculous project was started from Burma, because there were no supplies coming in from the eastern side, from the ocean.
Okay. You had better English material. I'll give you. This is different that they are talking about, but this is based on overseas, article, not Japanese biased information. Japanese material not reliable, right or left. Okay. So I didn't pick any kind of Japanese material for my book.
So, but what according to you was the reason why they for example made the Burmese railroad track? Why did they make it? For supplies, right? Unbelievable!
Just only 1 year.
Yeah, but why did they make it? What was the reason to do it?
Oh, this is a problem. Japanese government problem. This kind of decision making held in headquarters in Tokyo. Everything crazy decision made in headquarters.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is a problem. And the local soldiers is a very pity.
Exactly.
Do you know the Manchuria and Beijing and 4 kilometers and 350 kilometers wide? And they said this is no war zone. Beijing to Manchukuo.
Right.
The headquarters, they decided no war zone. Do you know what I mean? Local soldiers, what they did? Kill them all. I don't know. 1 million, 2 million farmers. If this area, okay, no war zone means that they take them out this area, right? But the Chinese farmer never move, right? So local soldiers kill them all. It's crazy decision headquarters did. This worst case. That's they say they so-called kill them all, rape them all, loot them all. So Chinese people call this strategy, this decision. But this is a crazy decision.
Brute on border. In Germany, that's the same.
Yeah.
Brute on border.
Yeah, this is headquarters decided. But also another crazy decision is headquarters. If you're going down from Shanghai to down to south, you try to get food from local people. What this mean? Kill them all. Actually kill them all. That's the reason why Chinese escaped 30,000.
So that was basically the big problem about moving beyond China into Indonesia, into Malaysia.
No, it's crazy.
That was not possible. So
It's crazy, I tell you. But Indonesia and Philippines and Malaysia, no battle.
yeah,
Okay?
no,
battle.
because
So this is
because there were no soldiers, and the local people were glad to get rid of the
China
British.
is different.
Yeah,
China is all over the world, all spread all over China.
No, I think we're
Chinese
talking,
soldiers.
I think we're talking.
battle all the way around.
I think we're on the same page, but what I'm saying is that those kinds of decisions that cost so many lives, and also of the Burmese citizens, I would be surprised if they would be very happy with those kinds of decisions to make that railroad track. It was necessary because otherwise they would lose the war to make the.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to spend, even though 70 years passed. But Japanese government, Japanese people never speak out, discuss about the war. But this is stupid, right? Okay, this is following Korean opinion and European opinion, American opinion. They always, all the way around, Japanese is excuse and apologies and remorse all the way. Not otherwise, they never use it. But this is true, this is bad. Never say that. The first time I written down. Okay. So, this is my book is World War II cases, Abe, okay, Prime Minister lead it, and he going to talk with G20, he going to talk with American, parliament members, and they can discuss with those people. Comfort woman the same. Comfort woman, the Korean government tell a lie. Okay, lie. But back to the basic, okay, and history. Japanese did a lot of wrong things. Comfort woman is just right. But occupation, invasion, did a lot of wrong things for Korea. But we didn't know that. But this, we should accept that, okay. One example is Japanese, government occupied Korea, Chosen. At that time, 37% of real estate is they took from Chosen people to distribute to Japanese, immigrants. It means 37 farmers lost, land. It means they sold their daughter and wife as a concubine. 37%. They cannot sustain their life. So the current year, they said they sold their wife $100, daughter to $100. That's all. So they are starved. Okay? But this is Japanese government they did. But they say exactly same as the colonialism like that in Southeast Asia. But actually Japanese did wrongdoing. So things not comfortable. This is bad thing, terrible. And that's still they have Korean people, chosen people still some resent us, right? So this is the reason. So that one is we need to understand. Okay, what is true? What is wrong? Okay, so we try to clarify. That's the comfortable.
But
right, but no Japanese knows.
But how can you be so certain that comfort woman that is really absolutely not true?
That's not true. But I don't know. They didn't study history. Japanese people, government didn't study. I read through all foreign ministers' article, apologies letter. Every year copy for my years. That looks like they have no responsibility, no accountability. It's on the beach, So that's the reason I just rewrite that true story.
But
so,
I mean, I think it's generally accepted, and I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but I think it's generally accepted that no matter who did the recruiting, but ultimately it was the Japanese.
Oh, okay. One exception is
army too.
One exception is Dutch captive. Okay, and 30-50 women prison. They did beautiful woman as wife, ugly woman as concubine in the region. This is one exception.
Yeah, okay, but that's I mean, in the grander scale, that's just a very small pocket.
And also, of course, they have some things happen in Philippines, in Indonesia, and Malay. And that case is they didn't do war, and soldiers, okay, just going to the some broader, but senior soldiers they try to get wife. So still after World War II, Philippines, several people sued and Japanese government paid. And so this is sort of things happen. But Korea is, and Taiwan never happened because this is not occupied. This is originally that is Japanese territory.
That's nonsense. I mean,
okay, this one is some
women were brought there. I mean, it's generally accepted. There's a lot of people and statements that really tell a completely different story.
Oh, okay. We need to. This is why as Japanese, my responsibility. I decided to write World War II, what's happened, and Comfort Woman. This is a true story. I need to write it down. I'm not biased, left, right. Okay. And this time I decided to only picking up.
But if you're going to write down that and say that there were no comfort women in Korea, I don't think people will take that seriously. Of course, there were.
Okay, and it takes time. But first of all, this is actually starting from common recognition by Westerners. Okay, starting from that material. Then step by step, I try to persuade other non-Japanese people, reading page by page. Then gradually you can understand what's happening. And I wrote down the neutral and World War II the same, very basic neutral. So you can bring my book Comfort Woman of World War II. Then you can bring World War II first, and then I distribute foreign ministry, and they just against my opinion because they're much more right wing. Thought, no, this is not like that. And always the Japanese government sticking to like Abe, right-wing idea, nothing solved. I'm writing down the very neutral. And this one is also, I wanted one more book, okay? One more book I should write. World War II and Comfort Woman, but also I need to persuade overseas Western people. One more book is, who is Japanese people? This kind of book is not in everywhere. Nowhere, okay? You can find that who is Japanese identity, dignity, or they have some pride or something. They don't have pride, they have pride. What's the background of Japanese people talking about? This is the last one. I need to write it down, whatever happened. This is 2 books, okay? Not heavy, English and Japanese. So it takes a lot of volumes. I'm now writing that book. Since this the end of last month until this April and May, and written up at the end of May 2 books. This is, if you're going to read that book, you understand who are they. But many foreigners, they don't know what.
You're going to write it in English?
Currently, I'm writing. Like Nakai Toju or a philosopher. Nishida Kitaro is very famous philosopher. Nakai Toju is also very famous Confucianism person. Very famous. And also then I'm going to explain for the ancient Chinese analytics, and great learning, many kind of books, Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, everything are written down. This is based on Japanese spirit of Japan. So if you're going to read this book, you understand who are they. But not easy book, okay? And Japanese spirit. So even if majority of Japanese forgot it, they don't have no education. But as a Japanese, I myself, okay, should write it down. One or two, comfortable man, and who we are. No English book. It's a shame. Japanese people never against the former, every people talking about. No conversation, no opinion, no controversial issue. I made it. Now I had the opportunity to distribute to Japanese government, but Japanese government, 100% for sure, they're going to tell me they are right-wing people, they're against me. They find a decision. Sorry, Clyde, I can pick it up. I'm going to tell you, bullshit. Right? This is Japanese government fault. You should listen to the neutral thinking way. They always take the right-wing people opinion, and always they deny everything Western are talking about. This one accept, this one discuss, this one neutral, don't know. Whatever is more clarified and make consensus with European people. Never do that. As you know, the Abe is a very right-wing person.
Yeah.
Okay? Terrible. So they cannot talk about World War II, they cannot talk about comfort women in the state, even in the States. That's the reason why many statues of comfort statues in the spread all over America. Yeah. Of course, you guys talking about it, don't tell a lie. Everybody's thinking that. But I believe don't tell a lie. You need to tell the truth. But they can't tell the truth because they don't stick into right wing. I never do that. I don't do that. No, you tell the truth. You did wrongdoing. Okay, you accept it. You did wrongdoing. What is the most wrongdoing? Not comfort women. They just take their farmland from chosen people. 37% of total land. It means almost half of people, they starve. They can sustain their wife. They sold them all. What this mean? So they never recognize the kind of things.
So who bought these women?
Huh?
Who bought these women?
Yeah, brother.
Exactly. And then what happened?
How much are they bought it? $100.
So, and then what happened to these women?
The same thing happened in Japan. Do you know that? 100 years ago, Japanese farmers, periodically, they are farming. Periodically. Every 10 years. At that time, they sold their daughter. They sold daughter. It's about $100, $300, $500. Okay? The same thing happened in Korea, but intentionally they call them a kind of situation. This is a wrongdoing.
So, but how is that much different from... So you can say, okay, there were no comfort women because they all came from brothels, but how did they come in the brothels in the first place?
Oh, okay, I tell you, next democracy, okay? Yeah. Now I was moving around democracy. Why I did democracy, I'm moving around Asia, North Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, Middle East, and moving to Africa and South America. And I surveyed the kind of, until Africa, the first book, 3 books I've written down. Until first book, I every time surveyed, what about comfort women, prostitute? I just taken prostitute, poverty. But from first book, I stopped to research project. Do you know? Useless. Africa is, if you go into the farmland and older than 10 years ago, more than 50% go selling to the brother. More than 50% daughter selling to brother. And the family is accepted. And they get money from daughter. 10 years old. And this is before Nike. We don't buy Nike because of younger women. No. They going to brother or they are going to work in factory. Africa is like that. And do you know how much they're going to sell their sex? 10 minutes is 50 cents. 10 minutes, 50 cents. Okay, one night is 10 to 15 US dollar. That's it. So then, since then, I just stopped to survey is brothel or some prostitute. Useless. Every country is the same. So I stopped doing. And then I surveyed South Asia, Myanmar. Oh my pity is kind of like Rohingya, a kind of brutal thing they are doing for rape and anything else. Getting to Africa, I stopped to survey it. It's just very small issue for them there to thinking about brutality. Always this is common. Right? As you know, Africa is like that.
Yeah.
Then, and you're going to consider for all over the world what's happening now, or what happened 100 years ago. So we must observe what is the world, what situation is going on. So we must be careful about to judge what's the fact, what did before. So, and then I just going back to the Chosen, what Japanese government did. Oh, terrible. Taiwan is very polite way because Shinpei Goto is very gentleman, occupied Taiwan. Very good gentleman. They did nothing at all wrongdoing. Taiwan. That's the reason none of Taiwanese hate us. But many Korean people hate us before, not now, okay? Before. Because they did very bad thing. Kill them. Many people, police people, not soldiers, police, kill them, many people. And still now, my wife is half Korean. They just discrimination still now. I don't know why. And Sonoda is also, he's a typical person who hate Korean. But I don't know the reason why. But many Japanese hate Korean. But not Chinese. Japan Chinese is 1-to-1. Okay? Equal. Some discriminate, some respect. So it's equal.
Right.
But Korea is they try to discriminate, only discriminate still now. So my wife cannot speak Korean, right? But Korean language, they can, parents, they never teach her Korean language. But still now Japanese discriminate Korean people. And Korean people understand that, right? The reason is Korean is thousand years occupied by China. Every year they sending 30, 50, 100, 200 beautiful women sending to China. Every year, Korean sending to China. This is obedient to China. So this is the history of actually they happen. And Kisen is the history of concubine. They sustain more than 1,000 years. Kisen is high society concubine. And very, very educated concubine is sent in China for they make this is a kind of heritage, and daughter is going to be concubine. This kind of class, but class is very high society class as concubine, and this high level people every year sent into to China. That's the reason Korean people, beautiful women, many beautiful women.
Is that comparable to the Japanese geisha?
Yes, more high ranking. Japanese geisha same. Japanese geisha is actually, they had, for example, 3,000 geishas, and only the Oiran is top level, 30 people. 100, just very few women concubine is high ranking. But usually, those people will have a lot of history. And compared with Korea and compared Chosen, compared with Japan is different. Chosen is always a history of pressure by China, pressure, depressed, and they are very much depressed, and they have very much frustrating, 100 years, thousand years, they are people depressed. And then, unfortunately, Japan invaded, that kind of, more accelerating their mind is against Japanese government. Sort of people, okay, and always they kind of solo.
Speaking of Korea, did you see the news conference yesterday?
No, what?
North Korea, South Korea.
Oh, I understand everything about Korea because my family is Korean. So currently North Korea, South Korea, they made agreement. But North Korea is 100% for sure they are telling a lie.
But I was also thinking so, but I saw the presentation, and I thought, well, this really doesn't look like telling a lie, actually.
You're telling a lie.
Really?
I'm Korean background. So this is very important. I'm very heavy experience for China, more than 30 years, 40 years, and Korea is 5 years. I understand. And what to tell the truth is simple saying, okay, we scratch every nuclear bomb, and they conceal 5 or 6. This is Korean way. And then what the decision you should make, American people should make, allow them to do that. Close your eye. Okay? Okay, you discard everything. Accept it. If you're going to chasing for 5 or 6 nuclear bomb, you just conceal. Don't do that. Don't tell them. Okay, you scratch it out. I don't, and we're going to ask. Okay.
And how about the South? The South are also going to keep 5, 6?
No. South, they don't have it.
Oh, they don't have a bomb.
No. And also, South Korean people, they know that because they know culture. But don't chasing detail about what they're doing. So the American, inspection people get in North Korea, okay, North Korean people open everything.
But they're speaking already about reunification and everything. It's like
no kidding.
I was also like,
no.
But actually, did you see it? Did you see it? It's really remarkable.
No, lie.
Takai-san, did you see the press conference of North and South Korea?
This is his opinion.
Sorry?
I saw.
You saw it, yeah. What did you think? I actually, when I heard the news, I thought, that's a lie. But when I saw the press conference, I thought, this is actually this goes much further than I even dared dreaming. What did you think?
Yeah, the North and South is looking for this future. The U.S., China, they don't like the both countries to be
reunited. Oh. Well, I think that the United States would like stability. No.
Yeah, what they want is stably unstable.
They want to divide it. どうかな?
I don't know. No idea.
I think that Trump is desperately looking for a somewhere where he can basically tap himself on the shoulder and say, "Oh, look, under my reign, North and South Korea were reunited." So I would be surprised if the United States were going against it. The same for China. I don't know, but I must say I'm guilty. I thought that Kim Jong-un was telling the truth.
Telling the truth what?
He was telling the truth that they are actually serious about this program and serious about the reunification.
What Takashi said.
Takashi is skeptical. Also, he doesn't believe that neither China nor United States wants to have this reunification happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a book I give you.
Thank you. Book. I don't know either. Okay, but I want to go back maybe even almost an hour back into our conversation. Because we were talking about, is Japan behind, yes or no? And the signs seem to be that Japan is not so far behind, or maybe not even behind at all.
Behind the technology?
The technology and implementation, moving away from fossil fuels and more toward renewable energy. driverless vehicles and other technologies. What seems to be the issue is Japan is less and is not as much advertising their technological progress on a global scale. Plus, also they are a little bit more conservative implementing these new technology because the consumer market is different. The Japanese consumers are more conservative. We have a more elderly population that value different things in technology. Safety is more appreciated in Japan than it is appreciated in the United States, probably. So maybe we're not that much behind, but then the question is, okay, if Japan is not that far behind, then why is Japan not trying to brand and export their technology? And what will it take? And Uno-san's question to that.
Oh, just that is that one.
So basically, I want to know from you. So Uno-san's answer to this question is actually English. English builds trust, and trust is what it takes to actually build these kind of relationships. And then a third question is, okay, how well does Japan blend in with international projects? These three questions, what would be your answer to them? You're working on the ground. You're experiencing this on a daily basis. From your perspective, why does Japan not try to export their technology and the way that make their products a global standard?
Oh, he's the right person to actually doing now.
So actually the Japanese is trying to export some project with technology.
Okay.
The reason why it's not exported is because they're just focusing on technology. So exporting the technology as a result is reasonable. But doing that export or making that effort to export technology is following the prior effort to show our respect and show our presence, show the position to do something else, something more. So, and also what the other country wants to do with Japan is not just import the technology, just developing some technology is getting much easier for them. So what they want with Japanese is not technology itself, maybe probably is the way of applying technology for improving the society,
right?
And keeping the dignity or integrity, whereas we are losing it.
Right. So what you're saying is that basically technology is a means to an end, and Japan is not involved in the end, is not involved in the motivations for those countries to actually use that technology, because it doesn't become part of the problem, of the objectives of those the countries that they're working with.
Yeah, I think so.
And why is that?
Why is that? We're losing the sense of being Japanese, how Japanese should be doing that way, with identifying ourselves, the one, for example, the dignity that we supposed to have it before. So just, we always discussing, as we all discussing, that the Japanese are coming as one member of some companies from this division. I'm in charge of
Right.
this project in terms of this system. They never come out from that cage.
Right. So there is no personal connection.
Yeah, no personal connection, no deep understanding of what they want.
Right.
And yeah, and also they don't care about the other countries or what the other countries doing.
Right.
And just thinking based on the experience in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that also relate to the delegation of responsibilities to the people who operate locally? So they only have jurisdiction to talk about the technology and not on a deeper level negotiate about really solving problems and adding to a total solution, basically making a better proposition.
I don't know which. The question is which comes first. We have lost that sense to going in detail, so we just only can do the small things.
Right.
Or just doing that we are forced to do just small things. That's why we cannot go in detail. But I don't know.
Okay, so that does that mean that Japan does not produce a lot of generalists, or the people who are sent out?
No. Yeah, specialist generalists. There might be generalists, but in specific area, specific company.
Okay, so that is not.
At least they never be able to represent the country.
Right. So basically, the way that we perceive a good salesman is somebody who goes out, doesn't bring a product, but comes to listen what drives other people and where they are lacking to achieve their objectives, and try to find a solution to that, to their challenges, and see if there is anything that can help them to do that. That requires language. Una-san says, okay, one of the big things here is because we don't speak the English, we cannot build trust. We were also talking a little bit about the distance that there exists between head office and the people on the ground, and how that will lead to mistrust and anxiousness, especially from people who are further away from the negotiation table, who do not see what's going on a day-to-day basis, and will try to cover their bases, will be more defensive than they would be when they would actually engage eye-to-eye, peer-to-peer. And how can we bring more generalists into these kinds of negotiations? If that's what it takes, right? If that's what it takes, if people who can step out of their box and really engage with their global counterparts and try to become part of the problem and challenge and see how they can contribute to a solution. I mean, that it will also, I mean, looking at question number 3, how well does Japan blend in with international projects? Find your place, be a trustworthy contributor to a integrated solution where people from different companies, different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds and national backgrounds will be able to work together and come up with viable and valuable solutions for international customers. It's difficult.
Yeah, the being behind against the other countries in the international the business has many reasons. So it's not just the superficial aspect. So if so, there must be many things to improve or re-educate or retrain our mind and attitude and mindset and basic set of thinking. So it might be just one single action in Japan have to be adjusted to adjust to the new way of thinking something in different way. So yeah, so it's not easy. Just say it's not correct. Doesn't push them in a different way.
What I'm wondering, I think you in specifically you're trying to be a person and represent the company that doesn't try to push a solution, but it's more looking for partnerships and develop solutions for local problems. That's the way you're trying to do it. Now, from my experience being engaged with projects, I mostly found that the solutions that we were providing were the solutions that were conceived, financed, and produced inside Japan, and then shipped to the customer. So basically there was very little customer involvement in the solution, and definitely no end user involvement in the solution that we were shipping. Now you're trying to do this differently. Correct me if I'm wrong. How does that? How hard or easy is it for people like you who are on the front line to actually sell what you are discussing with your partners back into your home organization? Because actually for us working in these international projects was very simple, because it was a project that was basically designed by us and then made by us and then shipped to the customer. That's easy. That's based on what you already can do and quite certain can produce, and it's then measured against your own criteria, so it's easily signed off and generates money, right? So that's a very safe way of doing business, but it's not as good way to create trust. Now, the way that you are trying to do it is to actually build listen to the clients, listen to to their needs, and try to design a solution together with a local partner. But how hard is it for people on the ground working in foreign countries to sell that back into your own organization?
Yes, sometimes I don't have the items to be sold.
Right.
From headquarters to the client. So what I have to do is to find solution on the ground. Through my partner outside of the home. So sometimes I find the project, I set up the project, but it never be back to the home.
Right.
So I just put it. Put the project into our group company in Asia.
Right.
So the transaction never goes through the headquarters. And then, actually the solution from Japanese headquarters has not been attractive anymore, almost anymore.
Right.
They might have experience and they might have the knowledge of the Japanese market, but what we are selling, what we are doing in Japan is not advanced.
Right.
So sometimes I started to deal with the blockchain and IoT, but I don't have any idea, and I'm not confident to bring that solution from headquarters.
Right. Huh.
So looking for the customer, looking for the project, based on the relationship, our partner, then we also have to source some technology and a solution, not from headquarters, but also from this country or neighboring countries.
I see.
So I may have to be sitting in some consortium with JV, not only with Japanese company, even if it's under Japanese funding project.
Right. And then of course you get resistance because not enough sales is being generated directly, which flow directly to the bottom line of your organization. And why should you carry the risks? Because working with a foreign partner means more risks, because there are not so many people who can communicate and therefore control the foreign partner. So that I can see that could create difficulties, but that could be the only way that you can actually do business overseas and expand your network overseas. So David,
So difficulties I sometimes seen as extremely careless. Not careless. I'm pointed out I'm doing always too much.
Too much in terms of what? Too many projects,
in
or
terms of everything. That guy's okay. He's always working outside, and then we never understand what he is doing. And even I was in Japan and to explain some status of the project, but they wanted to say we never know. So we worry about you. Nobody is following you. But it's not true. But they wanted to say, or you're just doing alone. You're not understood.
right.
So what you're doing is not authorized.
Right. So
Actually, it's authorized. It's authorized, but those who doesn't want to understand that new approach is saying in that way.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to go to the trouble of actually researching about all your partnerships, etc. It's just too troublesome, too far away from my business, from my daily experience, and from my goals and targets that I don't care. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, it's just annoying. Just annoying to talk to them, but sometimes the company structure was changed. Then suddenly that person is coming
on the top. And then you're screwed. Just like somebody else who was regularly attending UNO school.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So the wind might suddenly change, and then you're in a tough position. So actually, when you talk with other Japanese people you meet, or you must meet like everywhere you go in Vietnam or Bangladesh or wherever you are. When you talk with other Japanese representatives of companies, do you feel that they are going through the same things that you are going, or is your position rather unique compared to your colleagues?
I don't say I'm doing better, but they might be doing better in terms of the achieving some target and the proceeding some project in the proper way. So it could be said they're doing well, but normally I'm not coming to Japanese if it's just as long as it's necessary.
Right.
So it's not like the aggressive. I am not aggressive in coming into Japanese persons because it's not fun.
Right.
And I can guess what they're going to say.
Right.
So it just confirmed some information and just saying we are interested and we are getting engaged in this project where you're managing as consultant from JICA or something like that. Yeah, but sometimes I have to be on the table to show our position, to show our interest.
Right. Right.
But something that can drive the project in that country that should be discussed separately. Yeah, especially with the local partner, local authorities.
Right. So, but you feel that basically these projects can work only if you find partners that may not necessarily be Japanese to make them fly.
No. It shouldn't be Japanese.
It should be Japanese.
No, it should not.
Should not be, exactly. How do you if you would judge yourself, like roughly speaking, from all the other Japanese you meet, not from your company, but just from other companies in Asia, how many people you think would be involved in these kinds of open projects that you are talking about versus the percentage of people that are involved in closed projects, meaning supplying to projects that are exclusively run by Japanese partners?
Yeah, just quite few. I have met over 100% Japanese, but just one or two or three. Yeah, the person that I can to see they're doing, they're thinking the similar mind.
Right. Well, taking one step back, I mean, so that means that 97%, if it's indeed 197% of the people are involved in Japanese projects which happen to have a foreign end user, a local end user. But looking at it, taking one step back and looking at the situation, then you can kind of imagine why this is so hard, because the distance between the customer and the decision maker on the customer side and the decision maker on the supplier side, the Japanese side, is actually so big there's somebody always in the middle, and even both sides do not speak the same language. So, and there's the enhanced level of apprehension on the Japanese side, because they don't speak the same language, they don't know the local culture at all, because they never go there. It kind of makes sense. So what I'm driving at is that how easy will it be to close the gap with other international players like the US or UK or Germany when it comes to doing international business on a global scale with foreign partners. If your decision makers do not speak the English language or know the local circumstances and the local people, and actually get involved and get their feet on the ground and visit those sites and meet eye to eye with their customers. To me, it seems like a very big uphill battle. So maybe Japan is not behind, but it will be very difficult for Japan to be a player in a globalized, in a completely open international project because of that reason.
We are different from the American and British and European. That's not better or worse.
No.
But they have their own way to have negotiation. And some part have to be more globalized and following the standard manner of negotiating something. But obviously we are Asian and from Japan. Then we are coming to other countries in Asia. So this could be there's something that make difference from the negotiation style and negotiation the approach of US and Europe to these countries. But we sometimes that even the top management from Japanese headquarters just come in and say hello to the top management in the local companies. They don't know how the Japanese and our approach should be compared to the other countries, to the local. And what we shouldn't forget is we are not so much advanced in terms of the intelligence of making the money, or some knowledge in the advanced technology like the blockchain or IoT or AI. And sometimes they're getting more knowledge than us. So we shouldn't misunderstand ourselves.
Right.
And we should understand what we could do in terms of being Japanese, but based on some aspect of the culture, some aspect of history. So it should be different from Europe and US.
So if you are competing with, for example, let's say a European and American competitor for a project, where do you see the biggest weakness in terms of your role personally to make this happen versus your counterpart from the UK and from the US, for example? Which things are more difficult for you to achieve than your counterparts, and which things do you think that actually help you versus your European and American counterparts? So where are you envious of your counterparts, and where do you think, oh well, I this is actually a trump card that I have these guys don't have?
Mm. Yeah, the person company from Europe and US and trying to do the business in Asia or ASEAN countries, they can utilize the resources, which is much more organized in some like more system. They can do some business and they can do some negotiation, contracting the process much more effectively, because they do have the legal department supporting them, and also engineering team supporting them, just that they're well prepared to come over here once the project just kick off. So they then, even they might be supported by the country or some other network, so they can be like more systematic.
Okay. So what you're saying is that those people tend to have be the driver of the project. So your counterparts, basically, they drive the resources that they need in order to make their project successful. If they need contract work done, they have support of the home contract team. If they need technological support, they can drive and demand technological support. And as to where in the case of most of the Japanese actors on the ground, like yourself, that is more difficult. It's more difficult for you to get legal support, more difficult for you to get technological support into wherever you are, Vietnam or Malaysia or whatever.
Yeah, especially when I'm trying to do something new, because just following existing solutions, existing resources, organization, and the company structure doesn't cannot make the chance. Just we're doing supplier as doing in Japan.
Right. So in that case, you start to look for a partner that can support you in order to make the project work, and that could be somebody from outside of your company, even outside of Japan.
Yeah, sometimes
which will create alienation of your home management, who says we have no idea what you're doing, Takashi.
That is that might be the reason. What I have been advised by my partner, and that might be true, is we do not have to organize and structure every part of the system design and what kind of the solution must be applied. This is like a technical design and defining the specification of technology and solution. That is okay, just coming later in the later part. Then what we should do in the first phase to implementing some new project is to make the grand scheme with some idea of what kind of the company, what kind of the function should be involved, and how we could apply this solution with what kind of the funding scheme or some discussion. The team also should be organized, then making a consensus and doing some lobbying to the government to get the approval and support from the local government.
This is that sounds to me as something that is not very native to a lot of Japanese organizations that I've seen, because it requires some kind of confidence in your partners, that basically, even though you don't have the perfect solution yet, you have not specified a solution before you've heard the interest of all the parties involved, and not necessarily drive your own agenda, say we need to do it this, that, and the other way, but listen carefully to all the parties at the table, and then come up with the best solution based on what you hear, instead of designing your solution and then trying to find partners that fit in exactly what you want, which seems to be the way that most of the business is being done.
That's never be too late. When we will find, okay, we don't have these resources after we defining and confirming some structure of the project.
Right.
So it's just enough to look for the good company who has the solution that which is necessary for this project.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like a very healthy approach, but on the other hand, giving and I don't think we should overstretch this, but it seems very difficult because there are so few players on the ground who need to establish these relationships without having proper delegated power. So that means that you are gathering parties together without having a fully functional and technical design of a product. So it means that basically you don't know how much money will flow to your company. It will depend on whatever you discuss with your partners, and whatever comes out of that, you will based on that there might be an opportunity for you to make business. But that's very difficult for you to sell at home.
Yeah. So that's true. That they just can evaluate these new things by the existing the gauge of the performance. So this year, which million?
Yeah, how much money? Ikura. So no, not better than that. This year, next year, and the year after that. What are your prognosis for the revenue that we're going to make? Which is only possible if you are talking with existing customers and a foreseeable marketing strategy, which with certainty and market development. But that is not the way that you develop new business. Basically, you need to be at the table. You need to be able to actually create a project, and then based on your benefits and your merits, it all makes a lot of sense. I can understand why your business partner suggests that, but it also puts you in a difficult position, because it will be more and more difficult for you to make sense. It will be more and more difficult for you to keep making sense to your local management in Japan. To actually keep on supporting you. So that's a very difficult split situation, with one foot in Japan and one foot in overseas. So how?
Yeah, it's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. Well, if you don't do it, it's guaranteed that will lead to nothing. That is guaranteed. So if you stop going, then you will not get any business. Guaranteed. So that
also have to put the effort, negotiate and convince, and let them, or I have to be more understanding the which part they are not understanding of my activities.
Right.
So, for example, as advised sometimes by understand the best way to open and proceed more on this project is to be together with the local partner. For example, the M&A, or at least a strategic alliance with some obligation. But what I would say is, okay, this company is different from our company. So what they're doing is not a little bit far away the business that we are doing. So to diverse, to buy the company, to make the business line diverse is not a good idea, because this is the symbolic, the bad case in past 20 years of the Japanese companies. They try to expand the business area just buying the other companies. That this company is not doing the business that our Japanese company is not doing.
Right. I mean, but there would be no point to buy a company that does exactly what your company does, because otherwise, why doesn't your company do it?
So the question is, there must be some synergies. There must be something in common of doing some business. But even if that kind of the company is the target of our M&A, but as long as this company is necessary to achieve the target, to open the new market,
right?
I think it doesn't care about the service line of the local company. So anyway, we need this company to achieve our target, so we should buy it.
But do you always need to buy it, or can you not just engage in a project with the company without actually having to acquire it?
I'm sorry?
Do you always need to buy the company, or can you just engage? Can you not just engage in a project without the necessity to actually buy it?
Yeah, firstly, that's enough. But finally, to actually kick off the business and to make sure that the operation will be the going for the future. And finally, the last step is to buy or to set up the JB for the continuous operation.
Okay.
But then just the MOU or just alliance is the second best. Yeah.
Right. So if you're talking about small players, then and you're looking for a long-term relationship, then probably I understand that you may need to actually acquire it to put more future into a small business, because otherwise they might go out of business, or they might be difficult to too small to actually create those kinds of that kind of trust, long-term trust in the eyes of the other partners, and the customer. So extrapolating, it's actually one more question. Looking at the first question here, I'm sure you have a lot of existing technologies, and it seems to me like you're very much engaged in finding projects, defining new projects, finding new opportunities, etc. How difficult is it for your company to basically get on board on existing projects, delivering the technology that you already have overseas? Are there no opportunities? Is your company not invited on these kinds of existing projects?
Yeah, the problem is we might be able to find. Yeah, they're the project with where we can be on board with existing service and solutions, but in headquarters, who is managing this existing service and existing solutions? This is the department of those for Japanese market. They don't have any sense to bring out this to overseas.
Oh.
So it's customized and specialized for Japanese customer in Japanese market.
Right.
And bringing out this, if it's the project where we can just sell this project, sell this service to Japanese company, then it happens to be used in overseas, that is okay. But if we can, once we came to this project where we should be contractor or subcontractor, which requires us to use some English, or we have to be on the business trip to have some meetings, exchange some specification and discussions. That's not their scope.
Oh. It seems to be a much easier way to get international foot on the ground than to actually create these projects from scratch.
Yeah, so surprisingly, it's not easy for this person who is taking care of the major sales part for Japanese market.
Because I would actually reckon, this is my imagination, so that shows you how little I know, but I would reckon that most of the people you encounter, most Japanese people you encounter from other companies are especially those salespeople who are selling their standard solutions for wherever there are existing projects. That's not the case.
International project.
Right, so basically part supplier like, I don't know, manufacturer XYZ is very strong in this technology, so they have salespeople going around Asia trying to find projects where this kind of technology is needed and trying to sell that.
Yeah, it depends on which industry we see. The Suzuki in Myanmar and Ace-Cook. Ace-Cook is dried noodle, the cup noodle. Right. They came maybe 5 years or 7 years back, started to open the operation. Then they're doing the good business now. After 5 years, they came here.
Right.
But I don't know, engineering company system integration, the company. I don't know how well they're doing.
Okay.
The presence in Asia market is much smaller than the extent of how they're doing in Japan.
I see. You mean that the scale of the project is much larger in Japan?
Yeah.
So it's not maybe there is enough business to go around inside Japan, and it's not really necessary to go overseas to find these kinds of system integration projects.
Right, especially with the local funding project, so international project which is not from Japan. They might always think who will the founder, then how much the budget is guaranteed, and if there's not any part of the specification which is not clear, then whether it might be the risk that after the contract they will be criticized or complain not to fulfill the requirement in the specification. So they have to screen every aspect of the requirement.
Right.
And legal issue, the implementations, the schedule, there are many things.
Right. Right. But the reality of today is that, especially when it comes to system integration and software development in general, most of the projects are underspecified and implemented with an agile project management approach. which doesn't fit like complete specification up front. It allows for basically learning while you're doing and progressing insight into the problems, and the budget basically needs to follow that. So.
So I got inquiry. I got the rather big project of setting up the information systems of managing the national ID, like national ID. So basically, in the size of this project in Japan, that should be huge according to our experience in Japan. But actually, the budget is too small,
right?
Compared to our estimation in the Japanese way,
right?
But in the morning, as Uno-san advised me, that should be another way to proceed this kind of the project with limited budget.
Right.
For example, just buy and copying the similar the system from other cities and other countries.
Right. Right.
So it's not just package project, just black box. It's not black box system, but it's not scratch. They might be able to do not 10 million, but 100 million is enough to copy some project from overseas. But we never be able to do.
Right. Right. So that basically what you're saying is, realistically speaking, there is no such thing as a plug and play project where you can just push in your product into a solution without any adjustment or modifications to make it fit the local budget and the local specs. Therefore, everything is basically customized, which in turn will lead to either being creative, like you are, and say, okay, well then maybe I need to look for solutions outside of my own company, which will make it more difficult for you to actually get support locally, because what the hell is Takai-san doing in Myanmar and Bangladesh and Vietnam, and we have no idea what's happening because we don't see any specification or whatever, and we don't know how much money he's going to make, and neither do you. So there is a great disconnect between the company and you, and even bigger between the company and the customer. And where you say that actually the European and American counterpart is much more capable of getting the direct support that is needed to actually supply directly and resources, make resources available to be quick in negotiation and implementation of an international project. So that
they know which part is more advanced in their way,
right,
which is their advantage in doing some negotiation,
right,
to make something, some project implemented.
Right. So that means a lot of the power is derived from of your competitors, derived from the level that power is being delegated to overseas versus the way that the power is being centralized within Japan for most of the Japanese companies. That will mean that basically it will be quite difficult for Japan to export and brand their technology, because the technology doesn't automatically fit locally. I'm trying to summarize here. And what it will take is more decentralized decision making and power to drive a project locally. And if that doesn't happen, it may be difficult for Japan to actually easily blend in with international projects.
Yeah, I think the Japanese doesn't have much attention on the promoting our brand. but sometimes the other company, their mission is conquer the market.
Right.
Whatever the local market is craving. So this system with this brand, this is a brand, then the clear target, the biggest target is to conquer the market, even the conquer the country in terms of some aspect.
Right.
But we don't have that. The
Mindset.
No. So
Right.
that's not the target of Japanese. The branding and the branding into the international person.
But what's behind that, of course, is that there is no real intention or real dedication towards international business.
Yeah, they. So we're behind of having clear the vision of doing the overseas business. So why we're doing international business just to increase the revenue to cover the decrease in the sales in the Japanese market.
Right. That's basically to try to get a little bit more to compensate for what we're losing behind, but we're losing behind in the local market. But the local market is still the driving force of what makes our company run, and that will be the driving force for a lot of companies. Maybe there may be exceptions like Suntory and maybe some other players, but okay, I think that's a pretty strong conclusion. That's a very strong conclusion.
What is the conclusion?
Well, actually, are we behind? No, we're not so much behind in Japan, but for Japanese businesses to succeed and brand their technology outside of Japan, there needs to be much stronger commitment. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon if there's not a stronger commitment to actually conquer the market, to let the people who need to make the business overseas, the Japanese people who need to make the business overseas, like Takahashi-san, to give them more power to actually drive the local organization to fulfill whatever is necessary to make that business grow. But in reality, there seems to be a strong disconnect between what's happening between Takahashi-san and the home office, and even stronger between the home office and the local customer. They have no idea what's happening there. Therefore, there's no commitment, no clear goal, because they cannot see it. They are not actually very serious about growing the international business, other than just finding a few opportunities to make more money.
I think it's not only technology, but management is the same. Our most difficulty is actually lost communication with overseas people. And like I just started my school is half day a week. Whole day is too tough for us, but half days a week, like you, discovered many range of issues and communicate what non-Japanese people thinking about. So sort of discussion is needed for Japanese people who are intent to doing business overseas. But problem is, almost all Japanese people doing business overseas, they have not recognized the kind of neediness to communicate with local people. This is a problem. But also the headquarter people, especially top people, need to communicate with overseas people, like this my school, but they are not interested in doing the communicate with those issues. But that is a problem. I started this school 4 years ago, but still now nothing happened. And this is a problem for Japanese people. That's the reason recently I have strong confidence Japanese people need to study English more high level, with high level skill, or with high level content. Otherwise, forever Japanese people cannot get involved with local people. This is my strong commitment. Right? That's the reason I told Ed we should study English. So not easy, but otherwise we cannot penetrate into Asia, of course in Europe or in America. Beforehand, Japanese can sell their product because they had the advantage of their product, but not anymore. So what we're going to do? This is current our issue. But unfortunately, almost all company top executive, they do not recognize the importance of studying English. They're just only going to English school. They thought this is good enough. Oh, this is a son of a bitch. But this is not good. Only that to get the kind of high score of TOEIC. So more, deep discussion. Japanese people need to be required to communicate with local people. This is my conclusion. Okay? Okay, thank you today. We're going to finish today.
Thank you very much. By
the way, are you going to do next Monday?
Monday is public holiday.
Yeah. Are you coming? Or are you on internet? Internet. You don't?
No.
This is originally we are planned next Monday.
Oh, okay.
Because last week I didn't. April. May. I don't write it. Originally last week on this one. So this is supposed to be 30th. So when are you going to do? You can judge. When?
Let's do it on the 7th.
7th? Okay. Takahashi 7th, not Monday.
Hi.
Okay?
Hi.
You don't coming back this Golden Week, right?
No.
So you support to...
You don't have to shop.
So you support to join our school next Saturday, right?
Next Saturday, yeah. Yeah, probably.
Okay, so...
Okay. So next week, let's have a look at next week. I want to look at the consequences for new technology, GDP, employment issues, renewable energy issues.
Oh, still a lot.
And new technology and the impact on the Japanese society. Some forecasts I would like to discuss. That's still a lot, but there's still some videos, but they're not so long. It's not like we have videos anymore that take more than 10 minutes.
Oh, it means you're going to start new issue?
No, this is still about the.
Okay, you need to start to prepare your European issues, including your country. Right? What difference among Japanese and your country?
Right.
This is the other issue.
Right, I'm already gathering materials.
This is big discussion.
Yeah.
This big discussion. What difference from us? Okay,
Right.
This is my concern.
Yeah.
We need to start big discussion.
Okay.
My concern is how come European people never respect Japanese people? Right? This is big reason.
We don't?
Behind. Yeah. This is big reason behind this.
Okay.
Cultural issue. Okay?
I'm not sure. We will see in the discussion.
So today is finished. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Takahashi-san, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, interesting.
What's interesting?
Did you notice that immediately when we stopped the Skype, it stops zooming?
Oh, okay. This means the problem with the Skype.
Yeah, or maybe it is a problem with Takahashi-san's microphone.
Maybe.
This is what's this one? This is your.
No, put it here. Don't move it.
Yeah, it fell. What is it?
Headphone.
Your headset?
Headphone. Oh.